Hello, Professor. Can we resume?
Yes, starting.
Yes, Professor.
I purposefully took that much time so that it gets into the mind of many young researchers. Otherwise, they just like they solve the problem and they forget. With that input which I have given, I think they must have. Uh, am I audible?
Yes, Professor. Yes.
Okay. I purposefully did this because so that people understand and they, whenever they think of some new solutions, they try the design algorithm. This thing. Now let me move to the core of design thinking idea. So you must be seeing a image here, a particular process of which we apply in many industries. So these are some elements of design thinking. The main challenge is abduction. Abduction is nothing but what plus how gives you uh, a value or gives you a result. So that's what is called abduction. Then we'll be discussing the response, that means the design reasoning. Then what is the breadth of design practice? Then what is frame? Then frame is very, very important. Frame and field are the main point of today's discussion. If you understand that, then you can actually you have actually understood design thinking. Then we have frame creation and field now. Now, what is abduction actually? Abduction is nothing but it is. Sorry, from here onwards, as I said, we'll be discussing the frame. What is the frame, and what are the ideas? Actually, there are two basic ideas which are deduction and induction, and then this third one is abduction, which comes into the picture. We deduce something, and for if we know something for initially, we assume like for k in mathematical sense, we prove that for k plus 1, and that is called induction type of reasoning, more of a psychological reasoning part. So it actually we will be discussing about frames. Design practices have been developed in response to a particular need, as you see here. That is what we have to do it in a particular setting, as it is said here. What are these settings? These settings are nothing but you can say in terms of equation, what plus how is equal to result. So your deduction is nothing but what, like the players or the services, what we need. So remember this, or you can note down also. What is a deduction? Deduction is just what. What means the player in a situation we need to attend to, and then how means services also. Then how means how they operate, under what rules they operate, and then what is the result which is observed. So deduction is what, induction is what plus how, and then we have the result. Next one is induction. Sorry, abduction. What is abduction? In abduction, you are seeing here, we are not getting previous slide. what plus how was a result, okay, in induction. But in abduction, what plus how is a value. What plus how is a value. So that is you're creating a value for your organization. So when you study various designers' work, adopting some designated practices which could be interesting for those organizations, because the designers have been dealing with open, which are very, very open and maybe even complex problems for many, many years. So this complexity of problems actually can be, you can say, solved or helped by abduction. So abduction gives you what plus how is equal to value. The challenge of dealing these complex problems, if the problem is complex, it must be an open problem for many, many years. And therefore, you have to design something which is more elaborate. And therefore, the designers, what they did, they created designs, that means which are frames. Frames are covering this area, which is how and value. How and value will be given in the frames. That will come into the some later slides. So what we do, we explore out of the broad complex repertoire of design practices and adopt some professional practices and integrate them by using the framed practices. So abduction is of two forms actually. Abduction 1 gives us, you can see here what is missing here. How gives you a value. This what can be, I have already told, a object, a service, a system. What is how? A working principle, and then you get a result, but you are not getting a result in abduction. That was in induction, you are getting a value here. So that is the first type of abduction. Then the second type of abduction is also there, which is much more useful for us. So often designers and engineers do create a design that operate with a known working principle and with a set of scenario of value creation. So designers and engineers, they work on this value creation within a set of scenario and the working principle. How? This is called the closed form of abduction. So now we move on to the open form of induction, which is for complex problem. Here, neither we know what we are dealing with what, nor we are dealing with how. We do not know both of these things, but we have to get a value for our organization. So that's why we say that abduction 2 is very, very complex, because at the start of the problem solving process, we only know the end value, what we want to achieve. We know the value. We want the value that we are wanting to achieve. We do not know the service. We do not know the methodology. We know value. So here you are seeing down how is equal to value is a frame. So here we have to concentrate mostly, because that is the crux of the design thinking. So when what we do, we work on a principle and a thing. Then when frame originates from the existing company practices, we can have or existing ways of doing. So frames originates from a existing company practices, and dig deeper and create a value by deeper transformations of your own practices. So you have to dig in deep of what you have been doing. As I have given the example of the company where they were doing a business but in their own process, what they realize that they have to go to that particular hotel or place and take the picture, not by standard picture. Their job was, their business actually became profitable when they worked on value, why that value was not increasing. So abduction 2 is actually useful for us in design thinking. So almost more than 50 years this was not happening, and that's why this new practice is now developing, evolving. So we should try to apply. Many researchers who are please listening in my presentation, you try to just concentrate on this particular particular slide. This will, many management students, if they are listening here, it's a lot of value you will be getting out of this slide. Many engineering graduates, PhD, who have just entered and they want to do their PhD in a particular topic, please concentrate on creating the value through these frames idea. You will really be benefited and become a gem of a person, and your PhD will be through with new ideas. Because generally in research, what they do, your guide will tell you something and then you move on a particular path. But if you try to evolve through this what and how, becoming a value through these frames, then you really become a good PhD student. And maybe it may delay your process, of course. When you venture into the new capital or new business, you get delayed in your profits. So similarly in the education system also, when you are going to do something new, you will not find much help. So you have to dig in deep yourself to generate that value. Now the second point is the response. This is simple, as it is said here. The designers can be almost randomly in both how and what, and then experienced designers are needed actually to find this response. And we developed a frame. What is a frame? Frame is a general implication that by applying a certain working principle, we will create a specific value. That's what I have told. So this frame, understanding the word frame in a particular context is what I am talking about. The M-Pesa, that means the Paytm business that Paytm has created. Similarly, our example of Airbnb. So that frame where you don't know what and how, and then you create a value. So that is the second point of this design thinking process. Then what are the frames? Frames are not simple, of course, because if you're going to get better things, you have to work hard. Frames are, it has come from, actually, they are very complex set of statements. Frames are complex set of statements that include the specific perception of a problem situation, the adoption of a certain concept of to describe the situation, a working principle that unpins a solution, and keyword. So what we do actually, there are many ways to respond to a particular challenge by abduction. There are many ways actually to respond to abduction. For examples, students or novice designers or new designers who have just come to the business, they can be seen to almost generate proposals for both how and what, and then they try to match or find a pair that may lead to their aspired value. This is what may happen for a student or a novice designer. But what an experienced designer will do, he will tend to a more efficient strategy to tackle the complex thing, that thing and its working principle that are linked to get that specific value. So that is the difference between a novice designer or a student designer or a new designer, and getting the help of experienced designer. This is what I was talking in the initial part of my presentation. So that specific value, which is created uh, by the experienced designer, by a for a complex problem, for both a thing and the working principle, and generating a specific value. So performing these frames is not so simple. You have to test it. You have to really take the help of the experienced person, and then work around those frames to get the desired value. Now, what is the breadth? That means the width of the design practice. They come under the three categorization. So mostly you should concentrate on frames. Then it becomes the process kinds of designs. You can have groups representing and evaluating. Then you have the second design practice. One is kind of design, then you have levels, and then you have layers of design practices. So in the layers, you have the naive or novice or advanced beginner, then competent, advanced expert, master, and visionary. This is the second breadth, you can say. Then you have the level of design practice, which is your project process. Just like example of Tata Nano, here I like to explain what is Tata Nano and Burj Al Arab project process. So layers of design practice. These three are, you can say, the breadth used in design practices. We use cars, which are maybe Maruti, maybe Ambassadors, maybe other. But what Tata Nano did, it may fail. Okay. Tata Nano designed the product from the scratch. If you go to the Tata Nano factory, no normal mechanic can repair your Tata Nano. Okay, so design, they have worked on the frame, each complex areas, because they had to bring that a particular cost. It may have failed, but they did a lot of work on that, and still now Tatas are now they are selling into outside India, because in India they have been given a particular tag of lakh takya or 1 lakh car, but they have used their project process in a unique manner. Actually, you have to reverse Tata Nano when you have to actually fix it, some problem. Similarly, the Burj Al Arab in Dubai, they opened this wonderful building. They did a whole. They have started actually from scrap. They had to deal with the sand. They had to deal with the wind. They had to deal how deep they have to dig. So they have got all those designers, and they have applied. Actually, they did not know how to deal with. They did not know what to deal with, but they had to create this unique product, which is Burj Al Arab, and a value to their tourism field. So that's what the breadth of. That's what I mean about the breadth of the design practices. Here you need a layer of design expertise for your organization to actually, which gives you where you need actually a intellect and good working environment in your organization. In the third layer, where you have this design practice, this is what is called a field. Why we call it as a field? Because here you are in an organization, intellect organization, and the physical environment that you are working it can take place. That is your playing field actually. So this Burj Al Arab designer team was actually moved ahead from those frame, and finally this was their field, very new field, very new idea, expert set of people working on a particular field, and then they developed a unique value for the product. So know what, know how, but the value was created which was unique. So now, as I already said about this frame creation, we have a theme here. We can, as I said here, in creating new frames, what expert designers are engaging in a process of analysis have much in common with the phenomenological methods of analysis, though there will be a complex situation read as themes. What are these themes? A theme is experience of focus of meaning. A theme is a experience of focus of meanings. Theme are essentially a sense-making tool, a form of capturing the underlying phenomena one seeks to understand. Tata Nano is the best example of this. They are not clearly positioned in either the problem space or the solution space. Their status is unclear until it is determined where they belong. So, theme is another concept than field, and this also is a very, very important concept to understand. Next, I'm moving on to the fifth one, the frame creation and the organizational change. That's the final one where you create the frame, you get close to your problem solution, and then you certain hit or miss because you're doing a lot of research. So at this particular point of frames, we may have many misses, hits and misses, because you are dealing with a new problem. So a lot of research is required here in dealing with the field. That will bring the organizational change. You will have these three different ways of actually designing practices. You have come out of abduction, then you see if the abduction approach of creating new is not helping you, the organization may need to go to abduction 2. So these are actually the process which you finally aspire for. And then you research, and you get into the abduction 2 mode, and maybe you go for then you have to go for the field, and this field is the final value creation area. So here you do a lot of research. You develop many new frames and see whether it helps you or not, because this is the final step of design thinking. Then in this, the working feasible solutions shall be taken care, the final product. So now I'll quickly pass on to this. You'll all find in the text what are the steps you have to. This I don't need to hear. These are actually the main steps where you empathize. Many books give you here what is design thinking, but that is first step is what is called is empathy, define, iterate, prototype, and test. It is the same step, 5 steps that I have given. What is empathy? Empathy is actually a capacity to understand or feel other person's experience from within that frame of reference, or the capacity to place oneself into another position. Just like the air nub example, when a person placed oneself into the hotel actual situation where he took the photograph, and then he uploaded those new photographs, and then the business was getting better and better. So that is what we call as empathy. So it's a capacity to understand by some other, which was a star in the previous slide. I mentioned a star, or they are himself, or he was himself becoming a star for that matter. So you have empathize, you have define, then you have ideate. That means you conceptualize this perfectly, then you generate a prototype and test, and these are the other normal steps. The first and foremost important thing is the empathize. most of the things that you find on the internet, this wonderful PPT I have taken from somewhere. So there also they say about empathize and then frame. That means you diverge from some idea and converge. That means you do a lot of homework here in the first phase. Then you converge onto something. Then you again ideate what shall I do, what should our company do, or what should our modeling do, and then they converge on the prototype and test. So this is your problem space, and this is your solution space. This is what is a design challenge. See, scribbling and then reaching to a solution, doing so much of work here in the first part of problem space and reaching to a solution. This you'll find on the net also. Now, in these words are, I'll request all of you, those who want to work on design methods, to take the screenshot of this slide. I have taken from the net also, this one. Here they have given you the topics where you should work. In this first one, empathize, there is a design challenge. Who is the stakeholder? You need to do context mapping, road mapping, and research. Then you have this process, empathy mapping, exploring persona, journey mapping, all these can be used in frames and reframe it. And then you go to ideate. That means brainstorming sessions, think different, you may be thinking wrong, brainwriting, affinity. Think wrong means doesn't that you're failing. Try to explore the areas and see what is failing you. That is what we call as ideate, and prototyping and testing. These are the standard method of how to prototype and test and get your final value. So these are some, this I have already discussed. Now, design thinking idea, there is an idea which I worked on before, which is called ROVIS. It's a similar idea that may also help you in developing the ideas of what is called design thinking. So what was ROVIS? ROVIS was the same: rationalize, optimize, verify, improve, and stabilize. This, me and my student, we developed around 2007 or 2008. When I was doing some study on ISO, we developed this rationally and optimizing, verifying, improving, stabilizing the solutions. And I have found that this design thinking idea, that empathy, and then frame is not here, but somehow you can say optimize, and then you verify, improve, stabilize. With a similar idea, which is ROVIS, you can almost you can find the same. I have given a brief of optimize because I'll be sending this slide to you, so you can see from there what is optimize normal in terms of optimization. Then you verify, then you improve on the solutions, then you finally prove your results to be better. Now, some data. I have not given you much data till now. People are generally used to give data in the beginning itself, but I tried to bring you from a concept idea to design thinking to what is digital literacy problem which we have. As you see here, there are currently about 4.66 billion active internet users in the world out of 7.83 billion global population, out of which 92.6 access the World Wide Web using mobile devices. This is the very recent data that I have taken using the internet. You can just type the digital literacy or use of internet and you get this data. And the global estimates penetration is 59.5 as compared to the internet penetration. Here we are talking about mobile device penetration, and we are talking about the internet penetration. See how the number of internet users worldwide has grown from 2006 to 2020 in terms of number of millions. around 2006, when even the Rediff mail has just come, and I'm talking about India. The Rediff mail came around 19, you can say 91 or so, but then by 26 it has not matured. But then suddenly you see a very steep exponential growth by in the number of internet users, because the because of its usability, of course. Then global internet user penetration from 2014 has increased from 40% to 53.7%. I have given you the reference here down. You can see the same stats from there. Now, country-wise, you can see China has the largest in 2019, and India is next to United States. I'm hearing that this year India has surpassed United States, and in 2022 we are ahead now. Means we are having more internet users as far as the country is concerned, and we are now number 2. But that creates a lot of issues of digital literacy, where we are what we have to where we have to use digital literacy and where not, because there are so many things. You have to create a content, video, audio, writing, and everything, and then you are populating it to the social media. You have to be very, very cautious in applying the digital literacy ideas, even through videos, even through these type of webinars, seminars that are happening. So now further you can see how the data speed has gone up in this very recent situation. Now, in 2020, global internet traffic was 92 times greater than the 2005. Cisco 2020 report is saying that. In the same report, it was said that about 13.7 billion global M2M connections will be made. In 2021, there will be 3.2 billion global internet-enabled TV. Now you are seeing how fast Netflix is going. People are now slowly going away from the stationed TVs or even mobiles. You are dish antenna type of thing, and you are shifting to those internet-based viewing, be it a movie, be it a play or anything, or sports. You are shifting now to internet-enabled TV. So you have a lot now. Now, as digital literacy, citizens of all country have only had to learn to use the new technology. I have already told you what is all that, and we all know what is this new technology. So these skills that comprise this ability is combined under the digital literacy. What it involves? It involves words, I already told, text, visual displays, motion graphics, audios, videos, and multinomial forms like these. That means mixed of these. Then the processes are associated with the digital literacy are locating and consuming digital content. The second one is creating digital content, and third one is commuting digital content. These are the three processes associated with digital literacy. And in the locating and the first one, locating and consuming, we have web search skills. This is very, very important. Web search skills, how to search a particular product on the net or particular skill on the net is very, very important actually. So learners must develop, that means the students or teachers or others, society, they must develop their evaluation, you can say evaluation deposition as how to navigate the digital content. Because if you just put play football, you may be getting a lot amount of data on the web, and there are plenty of search engines also, so they may give different data. But if you are searching cautiously on the net, you will see, ultimately I have experienced that from those 10,000 of net results, you can actually jump down to only 10 to 20 web addresses for your use. So you have to be very cautious in searching skills. Especially research scholars who are listening, please do not jump to any random website. See the top 10 of them, what's what you are searching, and those top 10 will be in all of those searches. So then you can zero in off to your exact topic. Creating, you can easily create with the help of web tools like we are using now. We are taking the photos, and when we are taking the photos using our mobile, we are having filters, or now even those apps which are coming, you are singing a song, somebody is singing a song and you are acting. So here I mean with that, easily created multimedia content using the web 2.0 tools. Communicating through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and many tools we have nowadays. Now I'm coming to the changing nature of digital literacy and learners. Further to what to do here. See, our generation is totally different, and the current generation is totally different. Our generation was really different. The current generation is, you must be experiencing with your child or your younger brother, that they are very much confident, they are very net savvy, and simultaneously they know what they are doing. So that's they call what we call as, they are confident, team oriented. From the conventional course, they now try to do so many things, and semiotics also, that means by using some science. This is the science of language of science can be used. Culture and societal issues are also should be taken under this consideration of digital literacy. Some technology disruption is already happening. Earlier, when we were using the internet, about maybe some 15 years back, we were in this situation. We were seeing a mobile or a tab, one or two people together or on your own. Now your whole house is going to be technology savvy. You may run your TV, you may run your geyser, you may run servers. Through the servers, you may have your solar panel installed on your roof. So using the Internet of Things, it has changed. The whole thing of technology is changing very fast, at a very fast pace. So technology disruption is also coming into the picture. So whenever we are thinking, connecting digital literacy with design thinking, we have to have these issues when we are making our frames. How to embed them? This was the first graph that I have shown you in the previous slide. So you have to see the digital literacy part. Factors such as size, mode, and tools, we need to be careful. So this is the embedding of design thinking and digital literacy. In frames, we are using abduction and we are using field. Okay, so this is how our digital in digital literacy, we have to, when we are applying the design thinking idea into digital literacy, we have to go through this path and have our field very carefully, our frames very careful, and then empathize with factors such as size, mode, tools, what we are using, which mode we are using, and all. Now from digital literacy to digital transformation. How can we do the digital transformation? This is a little bifurcation from our exact topic, but that is required so that you understand what actually digital literacy, if we apply design thinking properly, can do for us. So from a path of this is a path where profitability and sustainability both can be achieved using the idea of togetherness of design thinking in digital literacy. There are a lot of digital transformation that can be done by the business function. We can use these ideas in your frames, and then you can find the value. These are some priorities. I've just mentioned them, and you can generate this huge amount of business coming for your industry once you get the value. Now, concluding remarks, I have not written anything here because when we try to understand, or when we properly understand design thinking, with the examples that I have given, you will definitely be benefited and develop the digital literacy for the betterment of the society, make your frames proper, make your field proper, and then generate a much better value for yourself, your organization. Profit also is okay, but other things like societal values are also very important. So please take care. These are some references that has been used in making this slide, and others. My personal notes are also there. So thank you. I am finishing it here. Professor, any questions that you would like to, or somebody want to ask?
Yes, Professor. So now, thanks, Professor. Thanks for sharing a very valuable presentation and informative session. Over to the participants, if you have any queries and clarifications, you can put forth to the professor, please. I hope Madam Sudha Vishnu has raised a hand. Hello. You can also type in the chat box if you have any questions.
See, one thing again, I'll say to all of persons here, it may happen that some questions are not answered in any session. It may happen, but you have to ask questions to better yourself. It's always good to ask questions. Do never fear to ask a question, never, because that will develop you as a person, as a better researcher, because of which all this exercise of ATAL FDP is going on. I think it's too late for late session. Professor
Chandrasekhar, no, last 3 days it has gone up to 9:30 also.
Okay.
Participants, please, if you have any questions.
Anyway, they can just type. They can just
yes.
Go to the
type in the chat box also.
Type also. They can send to me also in the, you can say, on my email. You can call also if you want to discuss any idea even later. Yes, Dr. Janki.
Sir, actually, we are going to implement in this inside the classrooms. We are going to cope up with the several subjects. We have seen the steps you have given. If all the steps are applicable for every subject or depends on the subject, we can omit some steps or we can merge. Is it possible to do those things, sir?
See, you have to do subject-wise. A standard practice like empathy, which I have discussed here, empathy and frames. So empathy, subject-wise, you can have empathy. For all the subjects, you can have empathy. But when you're making frames, then you have to be very, very careful, because then you have to go subject wise. So you
Okay.
can, in the empathize portion, the first one, you can take the collective subjects, means maybe all the subjects, and then when you are making frames, you be very particular in making frames, and then you can get the value when you reach to the field.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Dr. Chandrasekhar, so I think we shall finish now.
Any other questions from the participants? Okay, we will conclude now. And if there is any questions put forth by the participants, I will share it with you in the mail also. Okay.
Please.
Uh,
Always welcome.
Professor, thank you very much for being spending with us for the past 2 hours in this evening. And I know you have been very much busily scheduled in the last week itself.
Sorry
With,
for that. Actually, we had a convocation here in the campus.
yes, because I understand that in spite of your busy schedules, you have shared your uh, uh, time with us, and you have also enlightened us on design thinking and digital literacy. Thanks for your wonderful time and sharing of inputs with us. Thank you very much. I thank you on behalf of the organizers and the institute. Thank you very much, person.
Thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar. Thank you.
Thank you, person.
Shall we close it?
Person, one. Yes, person. Thank you, person.
Thank you.